reason we think Napheesa Collier is a great player is because of her proximity to whiteness. Proximity to whiteness. Oh, she has a white husband, so that's why you guys think she's the best player. Like, it's just so stupid. And here, I'm glad Courtney Williams stepped up to the plate and she is addressing this nonsense because it is foolish. Let's listen to what Courtney Williams, her teammate, had to say about this.
Like, I feel like people find a reason to try and hate.
Minnesota Lynx guard Courtney Williams recently addressed the wave of racially charged criticism directed at teammate Napheesa Collier. The backlash emerged after fans and analysts began pointing out that Collier is currently playing at an MVP level, arguably the best basketball of anyone in the league right now. In response, some supporters of Aja Wilson, along with others looking to stir controversy, shifted the conversation toward race, suggesting that praise for Collier only stems from her marriage to a white husband, framed as proximity to whiteness. That argument has been widely mocked as baseless and reaching for a reason to discredit her success. Williams stepped in directly to push back on that narrative, calling the criticism exactly what it is: nonsensical.
Like, I feel like people find a reason to try and hate on Fee. Like, you can't find nothing to hate on the girl about, so you just finding something. Like, you reaching for something to hate on the girl, bro. Like, how can you hate on Fee, bro? What she did? She don't talk shit.
Right.
She don't be in no trouble off the court, bro. She don't got no scandalous situations on the back end. She literally created a whole league.
In her comments, Williams noted that people seem determined to find something to dislike about Collier, despite having no legitimate grounds to do so, describing the criticism as a stretch, essentially manufactured out of nothing. She pointed out that Collier stays out of controversy, avoids off-court drama, and has no scandal history whatsoever. More significantly, Williams highlighted that Collier essentially built an entire professional league from scratch, giving players like herself an alternative to playing overseas during the off-season, something many athletes actively dread. Williams questioned how anyone could take shots at someone who created opportunities for women across all racial backgrounds to earn six-figure salaries playing 3-on-3 basketball in Miami during the summer, all while facing accusations of being celebrated only because of her spouse.
Scandalous situations on the back end. She literally created a whole league, so I don't gotta go overseas no more. And a lot of the rest of us either. Like,
that's a fact. That's a fact, though, because a lot of these girls hate going overseas. So it's like, how are y'all taking shots at her and trying to race bait her and make us feel like we can't root for her because she has a white husband when she literally created a league and there are a bunch of black women as well as white with all races making...
She emphasized she has no real awareness or concern about who Collier's husband even is. What matters is that Collier can play at an elite level. Williams drew a comparison to the criticism often lobbed at LeBron James, noting the confusion around why people find reasons to hate someone who has consistently shown himself to be devoted to his family while performing at an elite level. She sees a similar dynamic playing out with Collier, expressing genuine bewilderment at the hate train surrounding her, and openly challenging critics to actually articulate what Collier has done to deserve it. Williams framed the criticism as ultimately a sign of success, explained that she told Collier directly that reaching MVP caliber status inevitably invites backlash, and that the people driving this particular wave are largely frustrated. Aja Wilson supporters upset that Collier, and her team by extension, are currently outperforming her.
As well as white with all races making six figures to hang out in Miami and play 3-on-3 basketball in the summer. Like, how do you take somebody who does something like that and you just try to, just because people think they're playing better than Aja Wilson or somebody else right now, like, you just try to make it about race. Oh, you guys only like her because she has a white husband. I don't know what her husband is. I don't give a damn. She can ball.
How, like, bro, I don't be getting, bro. It remind me a lot of Bron, like how folks just be hating on Bron, like how.
Williams dismissed those critics as insincere, arguing they've resorted to racial framing simply because Collier's play and her team's success have become undeniable. She reiterated that facing baseless hate, for no coherent reason, is actually confirmation that someone has arrived at a new level of relevance and success. Turning to the numbers, Williams marveled at Collier's stat line, averaging around 26 points per game, while shooting an efficient 50-40-90 split across field goals, three-pointers, and free throws, numbers she compared to the kind of shooting efficiency associated with Steph Curry. She questioned whether critics genuinely appreciate quality basketball, stressing that if this same production came from any other player in the league, it would be universally celebrated rather than picked apart.
And on Bron, like, how can you hate on Bron, bro? All he ever showed y'all is that he a family man who love his wife and his kids, and he cold. I feel like it's the same with Fee, bro. Like, damn, I don't be understanding the Fee hate train, bro. Or I ain't gonna say the hate train.
It's weird.
Just the Fee hate in general, like. What is y'all hating on Fee for, bro? Like, what reason? Like, I be wanting to ask people that be like anybody that ever talk shit about Fee, bro, I just be wanting to.
She argued that attempting to diminish clearly elite performance by injecting race into the conversation, simply because Collier is outplaying Wilson, is shameful and should be a source of embarrassment for those doing it. According to Williams, Collier's accomplishments deserve recognition on their own merit, without being undercut by outside agendas that have nothing to do with the sport itself. Williams also offered praise for Caitlin Clark in a separate moment, captured before a matchup against the Chicago Sky. Initially unsure whether Clark would be playing in that game, Williams briefly mixed up her wording, before clarifying that Clark was actually out for that contest.
Like, anybody that ever talk shit about Fee, bro, I just be wanting to say, like, why, bro? Like, what has she done, bro? Like,
Yeah.
literally, what has she done, bro?
Right.
Like, somebody explain to me what she has done for people. But, like I said, and then what I told Fee, too, I said, Fee, the bigger you get, the closer you get to that MVP, and the bigger and the better you get, bro, you ain't popping unless them haters start coming out the woodwork, bro.
Even so, she made a point of acknowledging Clark's broader impact, stating plainly that Clark has changed the level of play among her fellow guards and elevated the competition around her. That willingness to publicly credit Clark, despite reluctance from others to do the same, earned Williams a...
Let them haters start coming out the woodwork, bro.
And them haters are the Asia Wilson fans that are salty that Fee Collier is playing better basketball than her right now, and Fee Collier's team is clearly better. That's who these people are right now. Asia Wilson, friend, whoever he is, cornball, and fans. That's all it is.
And now them
They
haters
trying to make it about race just because Fee Collier is playing better basketball and her team is winning. Corny.
And I told him, you know what that mean, gang? That mean...
That combination of skill and willingness to speak honestly, both in defending a teammate from unfair racialized criticism and in giving credit to a rival player like Clark, has earned her considerable respect. With the Lynx playing at a high level this season, there's real belief they could make a deep postseason run, potentially reaching the championship series. Recent commentary suggests the WNBA has struggled to fully capitalize on the surge of attention brought by Caitlin Clark.
Corny.
And I told him, you know what that mean, gang? That mean you doing something right. When folks are hating on you for no reason, you can't even understand why they hating on you, bro. That mean, goddamn, you arriving. You arriving for sure. 26 on 90, 50, and 40?
That's crazy. 26 points a game shooting 50, 40, 90 is crazy, bro.
Are y'all basketball lovers, bro? This shit is unheard of, bro. Unheard of.
Since entering the league, she's had an outsized influence on its visibility, yet the organization has repeatedly missed opportunities tied to her rise, including her exclusion from the Olympic roster and being passed over for several weekly honors. Despite this, she continues performing at a high level, and her fan base remains as loyal as ever, further proof that her presence is fundamentally changing the league's trajectory. New figures back this up.
And not only is she balling, her fans keep supporting. Because I'm here to tell you, The Caitlin Clark effect is definitely reshaping the landscape of this entire league. New information has been released in regards to the Caitlin Clark effect. Regaining momentum, bruh, is being reported that midway through the WNBA season, the league has already drawn more than a dozen audiences exceeding 1 million, a milestone not reached since 2008. The remarkable increase in viewership is largely attributed to the
Partway through the season, the league had already recorded more than a dozen broadcasts topping 1 million viewers, a benchmark not hit since 2008. This viewership spike is largely credited to Clark's arrival as a standout rookie, with Indiana's games consistently topping the ratings. In fact, every one of the 10 highest-rated games this season has involved her and the Fever.
Hardly attributed to the arrival of rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, whose popularity has propelled the Indiana Fever games to the top of the ratings chart. The impact of Caitlin Clark, a former Iowa star, is evident as each of the 10 highest-rated games of the current WNBA season has featured her and the Indiana Fever. However, it is not just the sheer number of viewers that has shifted. The demographics of the audience have also changed significantly. New data obtained by the Wall Street Journal reveals that every demographic category.
The shift isn't limited to raw numbers. The makeup of the audience has changed too. Data obtained by the Wall Street Journal shows double-digit growth across every demographic group, with the sharpest increases coming from younger viewers, male viewers, and white viewers. This lines up with earlier predictions that Clark would draw in male audiences who previously showed little to no interest in women's basketball.
Reveals that every demographic category has seen at least a double-digit increase, with the biggest gains among young viewers, male viewers, and white viewers. And just like I predicted a few months ago, a lot of guys is looking at the WNBA because Caitlin Clark is that big of a draw. And that is simply remarkable. No male guys prior to this season was even watching the WNBA, let alone women even watching. Wasn't nobody looking at it. It was just that bad of a league. Caitlin Clark has uplifted the fan base for the
Before this season, the league struggled for visibility altogether. Now, nearly every franchise is seeing a boost in local fan interest directly tied to her popularity, an unprecedented shift for the sport. On a separate note, sports commentator Colin Cowherd, long a supporter of Clark, recently argued on his show that it's not Clark who isn't ready for the spotlight, it's women's basketball that isn't ready for her.
It was just that bad of a league. Caitlin Clark has uplifted the fan base for the entire league. Every team is getting new fans in their cities because of Caitlin Clark. Nothing like this has ever been done before. This is legendary. Moving on to another story. So we know that Colin Cowherd is a big advocate for Caitlin Clark. Well, today on his show, he let it be known, bruh, the WNBA is not ready for the Caitlin Clark effect. Let's roll the footage.
Convinced women's basketball isn't ready. Caitlin Clark's more than ready.
He pointed to her performance in the All-Star Weekend matchup, where her team of league standouts defeated the U.S. Olympic squad. Clark posted 10 assists, the most in the game, setting up a teammate who scored 34 points.
Caitlin Clark's more than ready. She helped her WNBA All-Star team beat the USA Women's Olympic team this weekend. She was the best playmaker. She had 10 assists, best playmaker. One of her teammates scored 34, and Caitlin just kept feeding her the ball. And the most assists in the win, double-digit assists in 7 of her last 8 games, despite the WNBA butchering her early schedule, snubbing her for the Olympics.
He noted she's tallied double-digit assists in 7 of her last 8 outings, all despite a disorganized early season schedule and being left off the Olympic team. Instead, she made the All-Star roster, and Indiana has emerged as a legitimate playoff contender, with Clark leading all players in assists during the win over the Olympic squad. Cowherd emphasized her ability to space the floor and facilitate, arguing she's tailor-made for a national team role given that Olympic and All-Star settings often call for players to distribute rather than dominate scoring, since she wouldn't yet be the second or third scoring option on a stacked roster.
NBA butchering her early schedule, snubbing her for the Olympics. They put her on the WNBA All-Star team. Indiana now is a real potential playoff team. And what do you know? She led everybody in assists as they beat the Olympic team. Clearly, she stretches the floor. She's great with spacing, and she's also, in my opinion, a perfect Olympic or all-star player, especially Olympics. All-star games are a little bit of showing off. But the Olympics, if you're not the second, third best player on the team, and she wouldn't be yet, you need to be a facilitator, not a ball hog.
He even joked that if anything, she passes too much. Her shooting struggled during the exhibition, but her playmaking never wavered. He suggested that leaving her off the Olympic roster over concerns she'd be a distraction backfired entirely, since her absence became the story everyone was discussing instead.
The second, third best player on the team, and she wouldn't be yet, you need to be a facilitator, not a ball hog. I would argue with Caitlin Clark, she passes too much. Now, in the All-Star game this weekend, her shooting was off, but her playmaking wasn't. And so the women's Olympic team said, if we put her on the team, there is no question she's going to be a distraction. Well, you know what's a distraction? Her not on the team. That's what everybody's talking about. So and here's the other thing, is that I've learned with women's basketball as a whole,
He also compared the culture around women's basketball to that of men's soccer in the U.S., describing both as historically overlooked and now carrying a defensive, prove-yourself mentality among fans. In his view, Clark has already proven she belongs, on the Olympic team, the All-Star roster, and in skills competitions. He rejected the idea that her rise caught anyone off guard, pointing out that she was breaking records at Iowa 2 years before entering the league, and was already projected as the top draft pick a full year in advance.
As a whole, they're very much like men's soccer in America. They're a little petty. They've been ignored to a larger degree than other sports, and they've got a chip on their shoulder, and they're sort of a prove you belong. For United States men's national team, the soccer fans, it's like you have to have a passcode to even talk about the sport online. And for women's basketball, it's this constant prove you belong. Caitlin Clark belongs on the Olympic team.
There was no legitimate excuse, he argued, for mishandling her early schedule or failing to seriously discuss her Olympic candidacy months in advance. He reiterated that she's arguably the league's best or second-best playmaker, leading the WNBA in assists, despite playing for a fever roster that lacks strong finishers near the basket. He also praised her media presence, noting she consistently says the right things and will likely downplay her team's win over the Olympic squad rather than claim credit.